Gateworld is the first game by Homebrew Software, a company founded by two former Epix programmers who worked on the PC version of California games. They started their own company after Epix went bankrupt, but Gateworld's development actually starts at Apogee, a company that shouldn't need an introduction. You probably know them as the company that became 3D Realms and made Duke Nukem 3D, or as the publisher of ID Software's early games like Commander Keen and Wolfenstein 3D. Or perhaps you know Apogee for some of the other titles you loved in your DOS gaming past. Apogee's games were all quality and made with the shareware model in mind, where the first episode would be free so you would order the other ones. Gateworld was going to be one of those titles, but all we know is that the quality was deemed too poor to be part of Apogee's library. It's unclear whether Gateworld was first developed in-house at Apogee, or if Apogee was merely going to be a publisher for their title and rejected it. Whatever the case, Homebrew Software took it upon themselves to finish and publish the game. But still, this game has the look and feel of Apogee written all over it. From the title screen and menus to the way everything controls. And even though I could not find any proof for this, I'm quite sure that the game uses the Keen 4 and 5 engine. This would only make sense because other Apogee titles like Bio Menace and Cosmo's Cosmic Adventure did the same. Gateworld's title screens are a nice indication of what's about to come. The game doesn't look bad per se, but it's not great either. It looks like it's made by someone who knows a thing or two about graphics, but still has a lot to learn. The whole game is like this. The developer's name, Homebrew Software, suits one's expectations. The story is focused around your character, Captain Blas Klondike, and as your name suggests, you have a hunger for gold and platinum. Luckily, you just found an asteroid that has exactly what you need. And after you rob and destroy the living crap out of the asteroid, the second and third episode takes you to the planet Gateworld, where you save the inhabitants from the mysterious Gorg that controls it. All this only to find out the people didn't actually want to be saved. Sorry for the huge spoiler. When I first played this game, it ran kinda slow on our 386. The character stuttered, and while doing my research, I noticed many people remember the game this way. You probably needed a pretty badass rig back in the day to experience it the way it should be played, or maybe this was just one of the glaring problems from the start. Nowadays, if you use DOSBox and turn up the cycles using Ctrl F12, the game suddenly controls a lot smoother. Now let's get into the game. Every level has one or more wise men sitting there, giving you either clues or nonsense, usually the latter. In the first level you are told right away that you'll die. Well, thanks. Occasionally you will find a star item. What they do is not documented in the help screen. Green ones seem to make you invincible but not against everything, blue speeds you up, and silver causes instant death. You can get rid of those by shooting them 5 times. There are many other items your gold-hungry Mr. Klondike can pick up, like sapphires, emeralds, gold, and of course, pretzels. The most important item, however, is a key that you need to get through the exit to proceed to the next level. Often you will find the exit but not the key, so some backtracking is required. In one case I was stuck at the exit and could not go back. And there are many more ways to get stuck, especially in the first level of episode 1, where they teach you to save bullets the hard way. If you deplete your ammo and you need to destroy an obstacle like this silver star, you are out of luck. If you want to avoid this scenario, just play in easy mode, because each gun you pick up will give 10 bullets instead of 5. Otherwise the difficulty is the same. I mean, yes, you'll also have more lives and need less coins for an extra life, but that doesn't really matter, because while you will die a lot, especially in the first episode, you can always quick save and load your game. And who on earth has the patience to beat this nowadays if it lacked that option? Controlling your own character can be quite a challenge. Nothing works as smooth as in similar games. You have to stand at the exact right spot of a platform to make your jump. Sometimes a jump that looks easy is impossible, but this wouldn't be so bad if the general gameplay was fine. The most annoying problem is how the screen does not center around the character very well. You can look up and down by pressing space and the direction, which you have to do all the time, but scrolling to the left and right happens only when you are too close to the edge of the screen. So even when you know there's an enemy coming up, it will be in your face before you can anticipate. Speaking of unfair enemies, there are also these flying shooting robots. Just like you, they can only shoot at an angle and not straight up or down, so if you want to get past them, you have to go around them first, and with the clunky way your character controls, it's almost impossible to not get hit. Gateworld's levels are filled with teleporters that take you to another teleporter, which, if you decide to teleport again, might take you back to where you were, but usually it takes you somewhere entirely different, and the final teleporter in line might actually be disabled. This requires some trial and error to remember the patterns, which may seem annoying, but the maps aren't that big, so you never have to backtrack too far to get back to where you were. The game's most unique objects have to be the seesaw-like springs that you will find everywhere in all levels. If you jump on them and press the jump button, you can get insanely high. Others are just platforms that change direction when you shoot them. It's quite an original concept actually, and it works quite well. Together with the teleporter, this should allow for some interesting level design, but I feel these haven't been used to its full potential. In general, it's quite obvious where they want you to go, and the game never touches the complexity of a proper puzzle platformer. The music was done by ProSonus, and I haven't seen that name in any other game, probably for good reason. The music is really weird and unlike anything I've heard before. Sometimes it sounds like someone chose a bunch of random notes and chords, played them in some random order and called it a song. It's extremely dissonant at first, but somehow after a while it almost starts to grow on you. I mean, there is a melody to it, and it does add to the weird psychedelic space adventure vibe. The problem is just that after listening to it for more than 10 minutes, your ears might start to bleed. The graphics are not bad. The game has a unique style, but it falls short when compared to other games of its time. You'll find a lot of lazy block-shaped tiles are used over and over again, but then in some levels they went all out. Look at this jungle background for instance, that is intense. It's also one of those games where you have to learn what sprites you can stand on and which are just background or foreground. Similar to Keen and Cosmo, foreground sprites are used to hide items or secret passageways. It happened a number of times where I found one of these, but was soon convinced that I was stuck. Then, with some random jumping to the left and right, I found my way. This is really annoying. Some secrets are pretty huge, giving you enough lives and ammo to make the rest of the episode a lot easier, maybe too easy. And while others take you straight to the exit, skipping half of a level. I hated this, but if you're a speedrunner, you'll have a blast. I don't see why you would speedrun this game though. There's no denying that Gateworld took a lot of its inspiration from other Apogee games, especially Commander Keen. These bouncing dudes, for example, where you can stand on to take you to higher places, are a direct Keen 4 ripoff. And these snakes look a lot of the ones from Bio Menace, a game that came out in the same year. The bouncing mines are like the ones in Duke Nukem, and the HUD is quite similar to Cosmo's Cosmic Adventure. The difficulty between levels is weird and unbalanced. On average, one episode is not necessarily harder than the other. At one point I was wondering if the episode order might have changed during development, because the first levels of episode 1 are way harder than those of the second episode. The mini-bosses aren't really bosses, they can't be killed, so you have to avoid them, usually by finding a pathway above, except for the final boss which has to be killed, but is absolute peanuts. The only boss that took me a while was a whirlwind guarding a key, and the final boss of episode 1, which is probably the hardest, is a machine that barfs debris after it's killed. And there seems no end to this, so I got killed many times trying to get the key behind it, but when I saved and reloaded it, it suddenly stopped spewing. And this is not the only weird glitchy enemy. The male enemies in World 3 for instance have weird behavior, and I can't tell if it's glitching out or if this is how they were intended. The females on the other hand just die when they run into you. All in all, I think it was the right move for Apogee to cancel this game, but still, with all of its flaws, I think Gateworld is an amusing game. If you play it in easy mode, mute the music after 10 minutes, accept it for what it is, and have the same weird interest in obscure 90s platformers as I do, then sure you should play it. But if you're a normal person, then there are a billion better games to choose from. Gateworld obviously never got a successor, however, some people see Rallo Gump as a spiritual one. Also programmed by Ken Rogaway, it is another side-scroller about a weird dude taking part in space missions with alien creatures. Apart from the hideous box art, the game suffers from the same scrolling issues. The music is a lot better though. Gateworld was actually included in the boxed version.
Homebrew Software.
Homebrew Software's last role in DOS gaming was building the engine for serial Cyberpunk. Developed by Reality Studios and released in 1996, is actually not a bad game, but for unknown reasons it also started out as a cancelled Apogee project. After this, the company switched careers to web development and returned in 2015 with some rather generic mobile games. Gateworld's original programmers have never really left the games industry. And that will be all for this review. Thank you so much for watching and please subscribe, it means a lot. Cheers!